The night sky over Moscow lit up with orange flames and thick black smoke as Ukraine's drone struck deep into the heart of Russia's capital, targeting the towering $1.2 billion Moscow city complex. The explosion shattered the calm of the early morning hours, and the world once again watched in disbelief as a new chapter of the war unfolded before their eyes. The strike was not only a symbol of defiance but a demonstration of how modern warfare has evolved into a battle of technology, intelligence, and precision. Ukraine's drones, sleek and silent, flew across hundreds of kilometers of Russian airspace, bypassing layers of defense systems once believed to be impenetrable. As the smoke cleared, the full magnitude of the operation came into focus, and the message was undeniable: even Moscow's most secure and modern structures were no longer beyond reach. The exterior of the Moscow city towers, a glittering symbol of Russia's economic pride, was left in ruins. The mirrored glass panels that once reflected the skyline were shattered, twisted metal frames hung like broken bones, and the streets below were littered with debris. The once proud skyscrapers stood wounded, scarred by fire and shockwaves. Witnesses described hearing a deep rumble before a blinding flash of orange erupted across the night. The impact was powerful enough to blow out windows several blocks away. For a moment, the city that never sleeps stood still. The drones had hit their mark with astonishing precision. It was a clean strike, cutting through Moscow's air defenses as if they weren't even there. Every explosion seemed surgically placed, targeting critical points of the tower structure without causing indiscriminate damage to nearby buildings. Inside, the destruction was far worse than the exterior revealed. The interiors that once hosted luxury offices, financial institutions, and apartments of Moscow's elite were now engulfed in smoke and fire. The walls were scorched black, ceilings had collapsed, and corridors were flooded with water from the sprinkler systems. Emergency alarms blared continuously while terrified workers scrambled for safety. The damage inside spoke of a strike that had penetrated deep, beyond walls, beyond armor, beyond expectation. Server rooms filled with sensitive data were destroyed, computers melted, and communication systems disrupted. The heat was so intense that steel beams bent and glass partitions exploded inward. The strike didn't just cause physical damage, it disrupted the very symbol of Russia's financial strength. The luxurious interior design, marble floors, and polished fixtures now lay buried under ashes and broken stone. It was a picture of chaos and fear in a place that once represented wealth and control. The performance of Ukraine's drones in this mission stunned even military experts. Reports suggested that the drones used were long-range, AI-guided systems capable of flying over 600 kilometers with high precision. They combined satellite navigation, terrain mapping, and onboard artificial intelligence to find their targets even under heavy electronic interference. These drones were not large or loud, they were small, fast, and incredibly efficient. Traveling at low altitudes to evade radar detection, they glided across Russian airspace undetected until it was too late. The precision of the strike showed an impressive level of coordination and technological advancement. Each drone operated independently but was connected through a secure data link that allowed for synchronized targeting. The accuracy was near perfect, hitting exactly where intended and maximizing impact while minimizing unnecessary damage. This wasn't just a random attack, it was a calculated demonstration of Ukraine's evolving drone warfare capabilities. The drone's design incorporated several safety features that made them even more remarkable. Unlike traditional missiles or bombs, these drones were equipped with intelligent navigation systems that allowed them to avoid civilian areas. They carried low-yield warheads designed for controlled explosions, ensuring that the damage stayed focused on the target without spreading to nearby structures. Thermal imaging and AI-based object recognition systems allowed the drones to distinguish between civilian and military targets. This reflected a new kind of warfare, one guided not only by power but also by precision and control. It was a statement that Ukraine could hit hard while still adhering to strategic and moral discipline. The drones proved that modern warfare could be devastating without being reckless, effective without being indiscriminate. What truly sets these drones apart, and what could be described as their unique selling point, is the symbolism behind their success. This was not just about physical destruction, it was about psychological warfare. For the first time, ordinary citizens in Moscow witnessed explosions in their own city, not in distant front lines or border regions. It shattered the illusion of safety and invulnerability that the Kremlin had worked so hard to maintain. The drones represented the power of innovation over size, intelligence over brute force. Each one was a small, autonomous weapon that outsmarted massive defense systems. They were built using modern materials, compact engines, and AI chips that enabled them to fly with human-like adaptability. Their ability to navigate even when GPS signals were jammed made them almost unstoppable. Russia's advanced radar systems failed to detect them in time, and even anti-aircraft batteries struggled to respond. The attack highlighted a harsh reality: in this new era of warfare, expensive defense systems can be rendered useless by affordable, intelligent technology. The cost of each drone used in this operation was astonishingly low compared to the value of the damage inflicted. Analysts estimated that each Ukrainian drone cost somewhere between $20,000 to $50,000 depending on the configuration. Yet these relatively cheap machines managed to damage property worth hundreds of millions, if not billions, of dollars. The Moscow city towers alone are valued at over $1.2 billion, making the strike one of the most cost-effective operations in modern military history. This imbalance of cost and impact is a defining feature of drone warfare. Small, agile, inexpensive systems can now achieve what once required entire air squadrons. The economics of war have shifted dramatically, and Ukraine's drones have become the embodiment of that transformation. For every dollar spent on development and operation, the psychological and material cost inflicted on the opponent multiplies exponentially. It's a clear signal to the world that innovation has become the most powerful weapon of all. As news spread across social media and global networks, footage of the burning towers began circulating within minutes. Flames danced against the dark Moscow skyline while emergency vehicles rushed through the streets. The scene looked more like a movie than reality, but it was very real. The explosions illuminated the city in flashes of orange and blue, the fire reflecting off nearby glass buildings. People across the world watched live as Moscow, a city once thought untouchable, became the latest front line in this high-tech war. The sound of distant sirens and the glow of fire created a haunting contrast: modern architecture consumed by modern weapons. It wasn't just a military strike, it was a message sent across the world, showing that power and distance no longer protect anyone. The implications of this event are enormous. It has changed how nations view security and warfare. Traditional armies are no longer the only players capable of inflicting massive damage. Drones have given smaller countries the power to challenge superpowers. What once required billions in military investment can now be achieved through ingenuity and technical skill. Ukraine's engineers and strategists have rewritten the rules of engagement. By combining artificial intelligence, precision navigation, and adaptive control, they have built a weapon that defines modern conflict. The strike on Moscow was not just a tactical operation but a warning of what's to come, a future where wars are fought and won by machines that think, adapt, and act faster than humans can react. Inside Russia, the psychological effect of this strike was immediate. Panic spread across social media platforms, and even state-controlled media struggled to downplay the damage. Many citizens began questioning how Ukraine's drones could travel hundreds of kilometers undetected and hit one of the most guarded areas of the capital. The Kremlin's promises of strong defenses now seemed hollow. The attack shook public confidence and exposed vulnerabilities that were never supposed to exist. International analysts pointed out that this wasn't just about physical targets, it was about breaking morale, demonstrating reach, and sending a signal that nowhere was completely safe. It was a blow not just to buildings but to pride and perception. The strike also underscores a new kind of economic warfare. Damaging high-value infrastructures like the Moscow city complex impacts not only prestige but also the economy. Insurance losses, halted operations, and damaged investor confidence all ripple outward. The cost of rebuilding such towers will run into hundreds of millions, and the reputational damage to Russia's image as a stable power hub will linger. The drones, in contrast, can be rebuilt, reprogrammed, and launched again with minimal cost. This imbalance shows how innovation can topple traditional power structures. The more Russia spends on defense, the more cost-effective Ukraine's countermeasures seem. It's a battle of efficiency, one side spending billions to protect, the other spending thousands to strike. As the fires died down and smoke continued to rise over the skyline, it became clear that this was more than a one-night incident. It was a symbol of the future of warfare, silent, strategic, and unstoppable. The age of drones has truly arrived, and no nation can ignore it anymore. The world's military powers are now racing to adapt, to build defenses not against armies, but against algorithms and autonomous wings. The lessons from Moscow will shape the strategies of tomorrow. Ukraine's strike proved that intelligence and adaptability can overcome brute strength, and that even the strongest fortresses can fall to precision and persistence. The Moscow strike is a reminder that war is no longer about who has the biggest weapons, but who has the smartest technology. It's about control, innovation, and timing. The drones that pierced Moscow's defenses did more than destroy buildings, they destroyed illusions. They revealed that modern conflict is not about borders, but about data and dominance in the digital sky. In this new era, power belongs not to those who spend the most, but to those who think the fastest. The war has evolved, and the world is watching as Ukraine continues to redefine the battlefield, one strike at a time.